Channel open. Welcome back to WeeklyTrek, a proud member of the Tricorder Transmissions podcast network and presented in partnership with TrekCore.com. I am your host, Alex Perry.
What's today's date? The date.
Today's show was recorded on April 15th, 2022, and is current through the Star Trek Picard episode Monster, so beware of spoilers. And if you are in one of the regions where any of the Star Trek shows have not yet aired and you are trying to stay spoiler-free, be sure to check the episode article on TrekCore for time codes for each of our stories tonight in order to avoid them. All right, let's get into the show.
Good day, Voyager, and welcome to A Briefing with Neelix. It's a catchy title, isn't it?
WeeklyTrek is a regular news show covering the biggest stories from the Star Trek franchise, and my, what a couple of weeks it has been. We are in a new golden age of Star Trek. There are 5 television shows in production, possibly more on the way, and enough merchandise to fill the Bajoran wormhole. So stick with me, and I'll help you sort the real facts from a lot of the Dominion propaganda that you'll find online. But I can't do this alone, and my guest this week is returning guest, my great friend, and one of the people I just spent a whole weekend with at Star Trek Mission Chicago, so I'm very sorry you have to put up with an hour longer of Alex Perry. It's TrekCore's own Jen Tift. Jen, welcome back to WeeklyTrek.
Hi, Alex. Yeah, I couldn't get enough, It's an extra hour with Alex Perry, please.
All right, Jen, well, you know the drill. I want to know something's got you excited about Star Trek at the moment. What's got you moving at Warp 10?
Oh, yeah, I'm still buzzing from Missions Chicago.
I know, right? I wish I could have come up with something more.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah, it's not interesting, but I can't help it. It was a wonderful time with wonderful friends and wonderful panels. And
this was your first, dedicated Star Trek convention, right?
No, in a very long time, since 2009. I was a big convention goer in the late 90s and the aughts, and then then I had my first child.
And life happened.
And life happened, and I've been to a few. I've been to Philly Comic-Con and that sort of thing. But so it's been the first dedicated Star Trek convention in a very, very long time, and I felt like I was coming home.
So I'm curious, how did this experience compare to the olden? I'm not going to call them the olden days. It was not that long ago.
Thanks, Alex.
That was very cruel of me. I'm very sorry.
I'm an old. I know.
I'm gonna not edit this out. So how did it compare to your, let's call it your previous stint of dedicated Star Trek convention appearances?
As far logistics wise, it just felt like coming home. It just felt like an old.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, but in a good way.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything new from that perspective. It wasn't like a fish out of water with anything. But for me, this was special because I never really had any Trek friends before to go to conventions with. It was always just me going to conventions, which was fine. I like being with myself, but this one was way more fun because I had this wonderful group of friends that I finally got to meet in person. And that's what made it extra special.
Yeah. And it's, even for those of us who have been going over the last 10 years and have, a group of friends that we like to see again and again, for many of us, this was the first time we'd seen each other since the start of the pandemic. I mean, a few of us were at STLV last year, but first time for most of us. So it was a lot of fun to see people in person again.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of people were in the same situation I was. Just because of the.
Well, I think also a lot of people came to Star Trek Twitter during the pandemic because, they didn't have friend groups of their own and they were looking for a place to meet new people. And that's how we met a bunch of people. And so it was really nice to meet a bunch of people for the first time this weekend. I'm not going to name them all because I'm guaranteed I'm going to leave people out, but you know who you were, who we spent time with this weekend and had a great time with. And it was really, really nice to meet and hang out with people.
It was.
And we get to do it again next year in Seattle with Star Trek Mission Seattle, May 26th to 28th, Memorial Day weekend, which sucks a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I was a little disappointed with that. But
but hey, I'm going to make it work. You're going to make it work. It's going to be a good time.
Oh, yeah. I'm making it work for sure. That's going to be great.
All right. Well, with that, let's turn to the week's top stories.
There's a war going on, and I'm a reporter.
I am not a man who needs a legacy.
I think back on those days on the Enterprise and all the danger we rushed into.
Those were the days.
Evolution is not an act of preservation. It's addition.
It is clear sacrifice is required again.
Jean-Luc, when the galaxy comes calling, you love it.
Aren't we a little overdue for a good old-fashioned road trip?
I promise you will not be alone.
Ready?
As ever.
Yes, Star Trek Mission Chicago might have been the place to be for sneak peeks of Star Trek Lower Decks and Prodigy's upcoming seasons, but First Contact Day on April 5th treated us to the biggest news of the week. Jonathan Frakes, Brent Spiner, Marina Sirtis, Gates McFadden, Michael Dorn, and LeVar Burton, the core 7 members of the cast of Star Trek The Next Generation, will all be returning to reprise their iconic characters in Season 3 of Star Trek Picard. And those short voice clips from the whole cast give me absolute chills. Hearing everybody again is a complete delight. I may have broken down crying in the office in the middle of the workday when that video came out, and Season 3 of Picard cannot get here quickly enough. Picard showrunner Terry Matalas promises that Star Trek Picard Season 3 will be a starship-based adventure, has said that each of the TNG co-stars will have, quote, substantive roles that season, not quick cameos, and that for those of you worried about how Worf might look this season, can be at ease. Worf will, as Terry Matalas says, look like Worf. Jen, how does the news that the whole main cast of Star Trek Next Generation will be appearing in Star Trek Picard Season 3 have you feeling?
I mean, I did the same thing, Alex. I broke down and cried. How could you not?
I mean, hearing those voices again.
Hearing the voices. They did a really, really nice job with the trailer, with giving us new audio, you know, of the people we love. And when Jonathan Frakes says something about going on an old-fashioned road trip,
yes,
or something like that.
And we about due
really
for an old-fashioned road trip? Not that I've seen it 70,000 times by now.
I love that, because that's truly, we're getting the gang back together for one last adventure. And yeah, it's exciting. It's so great that Terry Matalas is going to be the showrunner, and it's with this cast, and it's going to be special.
Yeah, and I love what felt like very intentional sort of all good thingsy vibe from that trailer, right? Like there's a couple of lines like Geordie's line about, I can't remember what the exact line is, but it's very similar to some of the things the character said in the alternate future of All Good Things, and then that sort of quick shot at the end of the trailer where they're right close tight on Riker's face and then Picard's face, so you don't see there's no context behind it. Obviously they're in a bit of a pickle because they've both got phasers in their hands and seem about ready to use them, but it's still like, oh my god, there they are, right? And then you get you get new audio for Worf and for Crusher and for Geordie, and after all of the kind of waiting and agonizing and wondering about, will these characters be appearing in some way, shape or form in Star Trek Picard, we now have our answer, and the answer is yes. And it sounds like, these aren't quick cameo styles, right? That like this is going to be a 10 episode season, and our sort of expectation is that a lot of these characters are going to appear hopefully in quite a substantial amount of the season.
Yeah, and you mentioned about All Good Things. I mean, that All Good Things was getting the band back together.
Sure,
one last adventure thing too. So, and that was just the possible future that we're going to see the real actual future, in these last 10 episodes. So I love the framing of that. And I love the way they wrote, just joining the cast, like this isn't, we still have our cast from Picard. It's not, they're not being thrown to the wayside. You know what I mean? Like I saw some people talk about that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good mesh of everything.
Yeah. I mean, it is going to be really interesting to see which of the current Picard cast members make it to season 3. I mean, I'm going to roll the dice and say that I think that maybe a couple of them won't. Right?
Yeah, I think there's 2 that are pretty obvious won't, or are a little bit less likely that they'll be returning.
Yeah,
at least, and that's not even including the one who's currently dead. My count. So I have to actually think it through a little bit, but
but also at the same time, right? Like I can't imagine Jerry Ryan not being in. Well, we know Jerry Ryan's in season 3. She talked about filming season 3.
Yeah.
I feel like Michelle Hurd's going to be in season 3 as well for sure. She feels like a right shoe in, with that close relationship with the Picard character. And yeah, I guess we'll just wait and see for the others. But because there's still, there's still a bunch of story left to tell for season 2.
It's true. Yeah, we're still not done. We still don't know. We still have what is it? 3 more episodes to go. 3 more episodes to go before we can even speculate where they're going to start season 3.
And I don't know about you, but I am loving season 2.
I am loving season 2. Yeah, it's as far as the new era of Star Trek, it's got to be one of the top seasons for me.
Yeah, the whole thing is just working really well. The characters are vibing. The Picard stuff's really interesting. I can understand I think there's probably some people who are, somewhat disappointed with, okay, it's Picard season 2 and they've now, my guess is they will spend the remainder of the season in the 21st century. But I love a good Voyage Home, Future's End adventure. And yeah, it's taken place over the course of a few episodes, but it's being handled really well. And like, it's sort of a very Star Trek-y version of being in the past and being in the 21st century, right? Like, they're fighting a Borg Queen in 2024. Like, that's cool.
I'm here for that. I'm here for all the time travel in the first place. But yeah, and they're doing things new. I'm sorry that the Queen Agnes storyline is something you wouldn't have thought they could do something new with the Borg Queen. It was something completely new and different. And the fact that she's in the 21st century, she's a threat to us personally right now. Like, that's cool. I love that.
I mean, Alison Pill Borg Queen can threat me in that dress any day of the week. I'm just going to leave that right there.
I'm with you on that. Oh my gosh, she's stunning.
All right, so lots of people have been speculating. I mean, and he was at Mission Chicago this weekend. Like, and I think it's a little pretty. Like, we've got 7 main cast members from TNG back. Let's just dwell on sort of saying how incredible and I'm sure logistically challenging that was. But the big question on many people's lips: Will Wheaton? What do you think? Is he going to be in Picard season 3?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You're laying down the marker of yes.
Cameo. But he'll be there.
See, I think after this weekend, I feel the opposite. I mean, nobody asked. I was sort of disappointed. I thought about getting in when I was like, I don't think we're going to get to the end of this question line and nobody's going to ask him if he's going to be in Picard season 3. I was like, I should go up there and ask. But at that point, the line was so long, I knew I'd never make it to the front. And it's possible they were screening out that question.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody asked him on the panel, like, hey, you maybe going to be in Star Trek Picard season 3, and he didn't get kind of put on the spot to have to answer it, because that would have been, the way you answer those questions is really interesting, even if you're not in a position to say yes or no. But it just didn't feel like, I don't know, I didn't come away with the impression that like that was a man with a secret.
I don't know. I think he's a very good secret keeper. But like that in and of itself isn't enough to make me think he's not keeping a secret. I think, I don't know, I kind of think Terry Matalas is going to throw as much as he can into it, and why would you? Yeah. Will Wheaton's still on the company payroll, why wouldn't you? I don't know. Why wouldn't you have him in for just a little, just a little thing, even if it's just him, like his mom, him giving his mom a call from the space-time continuum wherever he is. Like, hey mom, what's new? Oh, we're going on another adventure with Jean-Luc Picard. Cool. Tell him I said hi.
I'm just here hanging out with Captain Sisko in the wormhole.
Right, exactly. No, I don't know. Oh, well, but that's another thing too. They've said that there's going to be more Deep Space Nine references in season 3. How are you going to fit that in? How are you going to fit all this in? You have the whole cast of TNG, Deep Space Nine references. I think there's room. We're obviously throwing everything in. There's room for a Will Wheaton cameo. Maybe I more just hope there is.
Yeah,
like, I would like that.
But that's the thing that I think is also like really exciting about season 3, right? And Terry Matalas has sort of said this in a couple of tweets in response to people, sort of expressing excitement about season 3 of Picard. It's like, you know, you could have pulled everybody back together for one more movie, you know, and if you did that, that would have been 2 hours worth of content with the characters. You know, that's what Nemesis is, Insurrection, First Contact, Generations. This is going to be a 10-hour story, right? Like, I mean, what a capper on these characters and their history and their story together. The fact that, you know, we're not just going to get, hopefully, you know, 5 to 10 minutes worth of screen time for some of the secondary characters as they support, you know, Picard in his journey, but with 10 episodes, there really is a lot of room there to kind of spend some time with Geordie and with Crusher and with Worf, right? Like, what's Worf doing, you know, at this point in time? Is he in Starfleet? Is he captain of the Enterprise? Is he freaking Chancellor of the Klingon Empire, right? Like, there's so many different possibilities. And what about Beverly, right? Is she captain of the USS Pasteur? If they sort of walk down that path, is she doing something completely different? There's a ton of really interesting questions there. And, you know, did Geordie kind of overcome the creep factor and end up becoming Leah Brahms's second husband at some point in time, which I still think is, you know, sort of a, you know, I mean, good for him. He clearly turned it around at some point, but he didn't start on the right foot with that one.
No, but yeah, that's a good point. You know, we want to get to know all of these characters again, and we know what Riker and Troy are up to, and I want to get the same treatment, you know, for the other guys. And yeah, you're right, that the 10-hour movie basically gives us a chance to do that. So when you think about it that way, there's plenty of time for cameos.
Yeah, including Deep Space Nine, including Will Wheaton, including you know, Denise Crosby, right? I mean, theoretically,
wonderful.
It is possible.
Yeah. The outrageous Arcona.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, we're moving on now. He's already had his cameo in Lower Decks, and there's still the possibilities in Prodigy. Can you imagine Billy Campbell coming back a third time in modern Star Trek? Like,
one was unbelievable.
Well, yeah, one was unbelievable. 3 of them will break the space-time continuum even more thoroughly than Q has. Well, and if that wasn't enough, we were also treated to another look at Star Trek Strange New Worlds with a full trailer, which finally premiered.
Hi. Sorry to interrupt. This is your captain? Our mission. To chart the stars. Push the boundaries of what is known. And what is possible.
I'm standing on the surface of a comet.
I love this job.
These people, this crew, I believe we can do anything.
You wanted to seek out new life. Go where the aliens are.
Your presence is blasphemy.
Let's talk about this. Find some
I think that went well. Perhaps we should kiss.
That seems logical.
Maybe we don't touch anything else. Just a suggestion.
The whole future hangs in the balance.
No one can know the future. One can only follow one's instincts.
You're the best of Starfleet. Our ability to work together, that's our greatest strength.
Let's show them what you got.
And Strange New Worlds looks like it has it all. Cool ships, cool aliens, great characters, humor, excellent special effects. This trailer really does tease an exciting and impressive show coming up. And it's not long to wait now, with the May 5th premiere date for Strange New Worlds only 3 weeks away. In Mission Chicago this weekend, the cast and crew were pretty tight-lipped about the show, but attendees did get the chance to see a clip from the series showing the first bridge scene aboard the USS Enterprise. And I can say, without spoiling anything, it was really, really cool. Jen, we'll just acknowledge up front that talking about Strange New Worlds at this present moment in time is maybe a little awkward for both you and I, because it's entirely possible that we may have seen an episode or two and obviously are under embargo and can't really talk about them in a spoiler way, and don't want to be like, oh yeah, let's just pretend we haven't seen them and talk about what the show is like. But based off the trailer, based off what we saw in Chicago, based off of maybe what we've seen already, give me 3 words that you would use to describe your reaction to Strange New Worlds.
Okay, I just need one word.
Go for it.
Strange New Worlds is transcendent.
Yeah, I mean, I said 3 words, but, why use 3 words when you can use 6, right? That's the Alex Perry mantra in philosophy.
Perfect. You can have my other 2 words.
So my 6 words to describe Strange New Worlds are the one you've been waiting for.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
I co-sign that too.
Yeah. And very sexy too. Like, it's a sexy Star Trek show.
It is sexy.
Like the other shows are,
not in an Enterprise way.
Not in an Enterprise way, and also not in an is this what Star Trek has become Lower Decksy way.
Right.
It is a sexy show. Anyway, yes, the one you've been waiting for. We'll obviously have much more to talk about it in a few weeks once the show premieres. But I'll just say, if you come out of the trailer feeling hyped about it, and especially if you sort of maybe you've been feeling a little bit reticent about the show from the perspective of the hype machine didn't get going until the last month or so. Obviously there was that big bungle with the release of the trailer, a month and a half ago, which we talked about at length. And you might be thinking like, ooh, what's Paramount? Cast all of those doubts aside, head into this show open-minded, ready for a really great experience, and I'm going to predict it will not disappoint you. And that's what we'll say for now, and we'll come back and talk in more detail about why in a few weeks. All right. Well, fans at Mission Chicago this weekend also got their first look at Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3, which we've seen none of, so we can speculate wildly about, with the debut of a new teaser trailer for the show's 3rd season, which is expected to debut this summer. Series creator Mike McMahon teased that the premiere of Season 3 would have a Search for Spock vibe, and appropriately, the 3rd season key art evokes the Search for Spock teaser poster, just like the posters for Season 1 and 2 evoke the motion picture and the Wrath of Khan, respectively. In addition to the teaser, the key art reveals the return of bratty exocomp Peanut Hamper in Season 3, and McMahon also promised during the Star Trek Mission Chicago that there would be other familiar characters from the Star Trek canon appearing this season. And fans who attended the Lower Decks panel in person at Mission Chicago got an exclusive treat. In addition to seeing the cold open for one of Season 3's later episode, the cast of Lower Decks who were present at the con, that's Tawny Newsome, Jack Quaid, Noelle Wells, and Jerry O'Connell, actually showed up on stage wearing Lower Decks uniforms and proceeded to sign autographs and take pictures later that day, still in costume. Jen, I thought that the Lower Decks panel was probably one of the top panels I've seen at any convention I've ever been to. That's how kind of high energy and great it was. What was your reaction to the panel? What was your reaction to the first look at Lower Decks Season 3?
Oh, same. The panel was just extraordinary. These people are just so much fun and so energetic and just lovely, good-natured people. And it was fun to watch. The footage they showed, I thought it was a perfect choice, not to give anything away for the storyline of the season, but just to give us one of those nice little Lower Decks vignettes. It was just ridiculously funny and perfect, and it was great. And the reveal that Peanut Hamper's coming back was just so funny, because I wanted to boo, but not because she's coming back, but because I hate her.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Boo Peanut Hamper, but I'm not booing you, Mike McMahon. I'm glad she's coming back. So it was a little weird, but I hope she comes back and she's a full-on villain. I want their villains to be a cute little exocomp and a cute little badge. I just think that's so funny, and I'm more excited for more Lower Decks than I am for anything else. That's my current favorite, and it was just a great reveal.
Yeah, and it's like we talk a lot about how the current shows have very different kind of flavors and atmospheres to them, but it is really sort of interesting being in like Chicago and seeing them all kind of lined up next to each other and really sort of reveling in they are actually really, really different, right? My excitement for Strange New Worlds is different from my excitement from Lower Decks, but it's a huge amount of excitement, but it's excitement in a different way. Not in a way where like one is better than the other, but just like I'm really excited for classic Star Trek episodic TV with Pike and Spock and Number One. And then I want a completely off the wall, off the rails kind of hilarious summer of Star Trek fun with Lower Decks. And it's so great in that respect.
Yeah, it stimulates different parts of my brain.
Yeah.
Which is but every part of my brain is a Star Trek part. It's a Star Trek part. So yeah, but it just hits those different angles. And yeah, you're right. The excitement for each is different, but not, one's not higher than the other. They're just different. And they're just, and I've said this before, I don't know why, but just Lower Decks in August just hits so perfectly. It's the perfect like summer fun, just laugh and enjoy. And I hope they keep it there. I really like that. But yeah, there's just rolling. I hope they do that, because I think rolling from the episodic, epic, strange new worlds right into Lower Decks, I think it would be nice. Would be a nice combination.
Yeah, and the cold open they showed us, the exclusive, it was cold open to an episode, not the first episode of the season. They said it was one of the later episodes. It's just every time you think they have mined the kind of like fourth wall sort of, incorporating elements of what it is to be a Star Trek fan into a Star Trek show and celebrating it and, loving it is always really fun. And this one, without giving away any details, had, it had that kind of, sort of philosophy and approach to it. It had a great cameo from a legacy actor from the show. And to me, there were elements of, a couple of different, really fun, one that's very recent, one that's a very, very old kind of game in the Star Trek universe. And they're playing it and they're having a good time, and it was a really, really fun moment, and just kind of was like, yeah, okay, all right, well, we've still got Picard and we've still got Strange New Worlds, but that does not diminish the fact that I'm really looking forward to Lower Decks, because these guys are still pumping on all cylinders. And the funny thing about the show is a lot of what you see on the show is kind of, because they all record separately, they're all giving these great performances, but they're all individual performances that then knit together to being one of the characters, and them all having a huge amount of chemistry, etc. But you see them on stage and they all have incredible chemistry with each other. It's funny how much it actually is, kind of very similar to the characters they play on the show. I mean, I know they're sort of playing that up a little bit, but it was just so high energy and they were so great. And then to stick around and A, to meet a bunch of fans over the course of the weekend, B, on Saturday, to do it all in costume and then take pictures with fans in costume, which you and I did, which was so fun, right? So fun. Was just the coolest thing I think I've seen at a Star Trek convention in forever.
Yeah, there were such great sports with that. It was so much fun. Vibes were just exquisite vibes. Mm-hmm. On Saturday.
Exquisite. Well, and lastly this week, it's an even better time to be a fan of Star Trek games than you thought, because in addition to the upcoming release of Star Trek Resurgence this spring from Dramatic Labs, Outlander Games have announced they will be bringing a Star Trek Prodigy game to multiple platforms this year. Star Trek Prodigy Supernova will be released on Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation 4 and 5, and through Steam for PC players, and is being developed in partnership with the Star Trek Prodigy Writers Room, including Prodigy staff writer Lisa Schultz-Boyd. No additional information on Supernova is publicly available at this time, but it was revealed at Mission Chicago that more details would be forthcoming next month in May 2022. So Jen, I know that you're a huge Prodigy fan. Your kids are a huge Prodigy fans. You're about to get this video game. Who gets first dibs at playing the video game in the Tift household? Is it mom, or does she let the kids go first?
Oh, damn.
Yeah, you're about to tell yourself here, Jen.
Yeah, that's oh man. See, I want to just say I'm the mom. I get first crack.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm usually not. That's usually not my vibe, But it is Star Trek related. I could also say who cleans their room first gets first crack.
Yeah. I mean,
I can see
that's
that
a little Ferengi, but I get it.
You know what? I could see that them just saying, "Mom, you get to go first," because they know that's what they let me do when it's when it's a Zelda game, because that's that's my jam. So they're like, mommy, you get to go first and we'll watch you play. They're that generation that likes to watch people play video games.
Sure.
Anyway, you know what I mean? So they'll watch me play and I'll just play for a little bit and then I'll let them have their turn.
Yeah.
That's probably what'll happen. But yeah, we're all so excited for this. We're very excited it's gonna be on the Switch, because they're not always on the Switch, and that's their video game platform of choice. Outright Games have said they're also working on a Stadia version among the platforms already have listed. But yeah, coming out in the fall, it's gonna be, I can't wait to hear more details about it. But whatever it is, my kids will be into it, and I'll be into it, of course.
And you're playing your video games, your kids are watching, and you're not worried that you're going to screw up and they're going to make fun of you?
Oh, I'm pretty good at gaming. But I think that, I don't know if they would, they're not like really teasy kind of people. And I think they
You've not raised
like
mean kids.
I would laugh too. Like if I fell in a hole or whatever, I would laugh and they would laugh too. But who knows what kind of game it is. And that's true too. Like sometimes, like I don't want them to give it away, like I'll just like, what if it's like a puzzle game and then we all want to solve the puzzles. So
yeah,
it might not,
right.
You know what I mean? So it might like the first level or whatever might be like a family event and we all sit down and we play and, pick our characters or whatever whatever it is. Oh, I didn't think about that. Who
right.
As?
If you got to pick any of the Prodigy characters other than Janeway to play as, who would you pick?
Yeah, I mean, Dal's my man. I'm picking Dal.
Well, especially after this weekend when you got the opportunity to hang out with Dal.
I know we're buds now. But yeah, then that's true too, because watching will be fun because one of my kids is gonna pick Janko Pog, the other one's gonna pick Murph, and the other one's gonna pick Win. If depends on how many choices you get, but everyone's gonna pick a different character. So, but I mean, what a great idea! It's for a Prodigy video game, of course, there should be Prodigy video games, and I hope this is the first in a flood of more things Prodigy related for the kids, merchandise, but also like books is what I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
I mean things even like board games besides video games, board games, like the possibilities are endless. And I'm glad they're getting something down. If it comes out in the fall, that might be when season one Bravo might come out in the fall, so it might be a perfect tie-in for that too, which I think that might be good timing for them. So I hope that does coincide a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it really does seem like the merchandise train on Star Trek Prodigy is starting to leave the station. And it was something that Dan Hageman on the panel this weekend, I think Benny Bond also, they sort of acknowledged, listen, we know that you guys are really hungry for Star Trek Prodigy merchandise and we promise it's coming. And the other kind of interesting story about that from this weekend was at the convention, they had all of, this sort of convention only merchandise that you could purchase and included a bunch of t-shirts. And they had a Prodigy t-shirt and it was Murph, and it was a Murph t-shirt, but it was only available in kid sizes because Repop didn't think that, they thought, it was only kids who were interested in Murph. But like within the sort of like first hour of the convention, so many people had come up hoping to buy adult sizes of the Murph t-shirt that they had to stick a little QR code on the table where you could like pre-order adult sizes because they didn't have the forethought to think that the character was popular enough that adults would want it too. So yeah, I mean, with the action figures which are coming this fall, and now with the video game that's coming this fall, hopefully this is just the first two things out of the gate of a lot more to come. And it kind of sounds like it is, right? Because for a full video game to be coming this fall, they must have been working on that for a while at this stage.
Right. Yeah, and it was funny too. They had children asking questions at the panel, and
yes,
one little girl said she wanted a Murph plushie, and that got the biggest applause
of the whole convention. Yeah,
because it's not just kids that want the Murph plushie. Right. Yeah, I mean, a video game takes a lot of time, especially since they did get Lisa Shoop Boyd to write the story of your game. I mean, that's they're really, this isn't just like a Prodigy skin on a game. You know what I mean? This is a legit Prodigy game. It's my thinking. So they actually did it from the ground up. This isn't just like something flying around for a kid. You know what I mean? And then just put Prodigy characters in it. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, since we're talking Prodigy, is like one of my reflections from the incredible weekend that we had in Chicago. I've been to a lot of conventions over the last decade, largely Star Trek Las Vegas, but I've done some of the other creation events they've done in other parts of the country while they were still running them. And I have to say that in Chicago this weekend, there were more kids attending Star Trek Mission Chicago than I've seen any other convention. Now, partially that is the Las Vegas effect, right? You ain't taking your kids to Las Vegas. It's a horrible city to take kids to since Star Trek The Experience closed in 2008. And it wasn't even that nice of a city to take kids to before that happened. But there's still like, to see kids who were clearly very engaged in the franchise, very engaged in Star Trek Prodigy, right? They made sure that in the Prodigy panel, they were prioritizing kids asking questions, which I thought was just the smartest thing in the world.
That was lovely.
Yeah, and so lovely to see. I think Prodigy is making an impact because it's created this opportunity for parents who want to take their kids to a Star Trek convention, which, you know, seems like a big thing to do, for it not just to be like a drag the kids along type thing to the parents' experience, but to find a way to kind of integrate the kids' fandom with the parents' fandom and have it be a shared experience in the process rather than somebody tolerating somebody else's experience, which was just very, very delightful to see in many ways. Well, and before we pivot to the speculation section of today's episode, I have a Mission Chicago giveaway that I want to share with all of my listeners. There were a lot of cool exclusive merchandise available for sale at the convention, but nothing cooler than the Geordie Bear from the Star Trek Lower Decks episode Cupid's Errant Arrow. The bear, which in the animated show is carried by Boimler as a gift for his girlfriend in the episode, was a huge hit amongst fans, and I have 2 Geordie Bears to give away to 2 lucky listeners. All you need to do in order to win this fabulous Geordie Bear, you can't see because it's an audio medium, but I am holding it up and proudly displaying it, is to tweet at the show account. Yes, that's at WeeklyTrek, and tell me which city you would like to see the official Star Trek Mission Convention take place in after Chicago in 2022 and Seattle in 2023. So where do you want the convention to take place in 2024? All bets are open, all ideas are open, and entries are open worldwide. Yes, I will ship your Geordie. If you are the lucky winner of a Geordie Bear, I will ship your Geordie Bear anywhere in the world to you that I can ship to, because like there are a couple of countries where you can't ship to right now. But if I can ship it to your country, I will ship it to your country, your Geordie Bear, and I will be accepting entries in this giveaway until Thursday, May 5th. So if you want a shot to win a Geordie Bear, I have 2 available, which again, I will ship to you anywhere in the world. Tweet the at WeeklyTrek Twitter account and let me know which city you want the official Star Trek Mission Convention to take place in the year after next. And maybe a Geordie Bear can be yours.
They're so cute.
They're so cute. I'm a huge fan. I got mine sitting next to my Tom Paris plate on my bookshelf. So I've got a little Lower Decks display going, which I'm hoping expands in time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've talked about the facts, and now let's speculate on what's going to happen in the future of Star Trek.
You make some very good points, Captain. But it's still all speculation and theory.
So each week, my guest and I give you a wish or theory we're nurturing about any of the shows or the future of the franchise. So Jen, I know you're a big wish person, so let's hear your wish for this week.
I actually don't have a wish this time.
Okay.
I have some speculation. This is just very general, you know, because I don't feel comfortable doing too much speculation right now.
You don't want to predict exactly what's going to happen in the season premiere of Strange New Worlds and mysteriously end up being correct.
Exactly. Yeah, not doing that. So I'm just going very, very high level here. So, you know, I mean, but you could tell Strange New Worlds, you know, from the trailer, how freaking gorgeous this show is. And it's gonna dominate all the typical categories that Star Trek dominates in the Emmys. You know, they're going to get all the creative Emmy awards because it's just amazing. But my prediction is that, or my speculation is, you know, just based on Patrick Stewart's acting in the episode that came out today, which was Monsters.
Yep. How
he did get a little bit of a chance to dig a little bit deeper psychologically into his character, and how I can't imagine, you know, Terry Mattel's coming back. I can't imagine that season 3 is not going to be more of digging into that. This is the last we're going to ever see of Jean-Luc Picard, and it's just my prediction that we are going to get Patrick Stewart and we're going to get him that Emmy.
I mean, I think it's time, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, and what an
they
event.
treat it like a lifetime achievement award.
Exactly. Totally. treat it like a Lifetime Achievement Award because he should have won an Emmy for Star Trek: The Next Generation multiple times. Everybody knows it. It was it was one of the most popular television shows on TV for the period and since, and it's not gotten the kind of due and the recognition that it deserves. And so for nothing other than Star Trek Picard season 3 potentially being Star Trek: The Next Generation season 8 with, having this whole crew back together for one last adventure, it is time for Sir Patrick Stewart to get the recognition from the Emmys that he deserves. I'm 100% behind that. And I think it's going to be great, right? Like regardless of your opinion about how good season 1 was, how good season 2 is, and I think season 2 is amazing. The one thing that nobody can dispute is that Sir Patrick Stewart is turning up and turning in an incredible performance every single episode. Today's episode, or yesterday's episode, amazing. He's done some really great work over the 2 seasons as a capper to a long period of time in which he's been playing Jean-Luc Picard and has been incredible the whole way through. It's 100% time for him to get the recognition that he deserves. And I hope that however many ballot boxes we have to stuff in order to get Sir Patrick Stewart his Emmy, that me and my fellow Star Trek fans will do so. All right, let me tell you, I got a theory.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
I think Brent Spiner is going to be the villain in Star Trek Picard season 3.
I mean, yeah. Based on what did he say in the trailer? It was something about
evolution is not adaptation, it's addition or something like that.
Yeah.
People just heard it. They're like, Alex and Jen, we'd literally just heard it 30 minutes ago. Why can't you remember it? And of course, that's because I added it later in post-production.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously not going to be their friend. Right?
But he's not playing Data.
He's not Data. He's not. Yeah, he's most likely a Soon. And yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, I think this is. I think more like maybe in season 2 here we're getting a little bit more of the backstory and just gonna fall forward into season 3 with, I can't remember his name from season 1.
Alton Inigo Soon.
Alton Inigo Soon. Yeah, I mean, he's still there. He's still there and in that time period. And I like that theory. Yeah.
Well, because here's the thing, right? Like Alton Inigo Soon, that character sucked. Empty shirt, showed total plot device, showed up for 2 episodes. Boring. This season, though, obviously, I don't think Adam Soong is going to make it to season 3. The guy comes from 2024.
Right.
But and we knew this about Brent because he's done it multiple times throughout the Star Trek franchise when he's, when he played Lore and when he's played sort of, alternate twisted versions of Data. He plays a really great villain, and he's playing a really great villain in season 2 right now. And I would like that, so for that to carry over a little bit into season 3 and for him to play some villainous version of Soong. I'd love it to be Lore, right? Obviously not with him in the makeup. There's lots of ways you could kind of explain away Lore being in a new android body that looks human, so that
yeah, he got a golem. He could get a golem just as well as Jean-Luc can get a golem.
Yes, he goes and he forces his brother Alton to make him another one, and then he's Lore for the season.
That I would love it if it was Lore. I would.
Yeah. Well, and they sort of teased it's like an all-time villain, great villain, really interesting villain, all-time villain, and there's something really poignant about that idea of both the heroes and the villain of the season coming from that same core family, right? Like lots of people have sort of speculated, well, could it be Denise Crosby being Sealer again? And because the whole Romulan thing's gone through the whole 3 seasons, and Denise is great, and I would love for Sealer to appear. Big bad, kind of villain to carry a whole season. Like I'm looking for a really delicious scene-chewing villainous performance, because if there's one thing that Star Trek Picard season 2 has had in abundance, it's been really fun. And I would like season 3 to be really fun as well. And yes, we just got Brent Spiner playing a villain, but he does it so well. I'm more than happy to have him play a villain a second time and have it be the core 6 against Brent Spiner for 10 episodes. That just sounds great to me.
Yeah, it's interesting because we say sometimes we don't always want it to be like universe ending, stakes or whatever. But if we're getting the gang back together, there's got to be a good reason.
Yeah, right.
It almost has to be like a an end of the world type of scenario to get everybody to come back and do their thing. So, could that be lore? Where else can they go with the androids though? What's his motivation going to be? It's going to be interesting to see,
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, because I have thought most of the way through season 2 of Picard that this was going to be 2 seasons and it would be a 20 episode story, that the story that's set up at the beginning of the Stargazer kind of will carry through to the end of season 3. And this week's episode is the first episode where I actually kind of feel like maybe that's not going to happen, that the story that's set up in the Stargazer will conclude at the end of episode 210, and then season 3, maybe not a completely blank slate, but it's not going to be like part 2 of a 2-part story where season 1 is part 1, that it is going to do a bit of its own thing, in which case, complete blank slate, right? Like in terms of what, like you watch the Stargazer and you're like, okay, well, it's clearly going to be a Borg thing and, that's going to play out, but is it going to be a Borg thing in season 3? I don't know. I'm kind of thinking maybe it won't be. But yeah, so there's all kinds of different directions that they could take it in, and that's really that's most exciting because we can't I can't tell you what it's going to be based off of what we've seen so far.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got to be involved in the villainy somehow, because he can't be involved in the good guy, so there's no way to make him a good guy. I guess he could be before.
Unless he's playing Noonien Singh again, just because he did have a bit of that Noonien Sungi type voice in the trailer in that very briff clip.
Yeah, I mean, that could have just been scientist talk too, not villain talk. It just been, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm gonna go wherever they want to take us. I'm here
100%. Terry Matalas, you have captivated us, and we're ready to be taken wherever you want to take us.
100%.
Do you have a theory or a wish for Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, or Prodigy that you'd like to share? Tweet them to me at WeeklyTrek, or email them to me at weeklytrek@thetricordertransmissions.com, and I might feature your theory in a future episode. Well, that's all the time we've got for this episode of Weekly Trek. Thank you so much to my guest, Jen Tift, for joining me today. Jen, how can people contact you if they want to continue the conversation?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Eda Quarks, and my podcast is Snaptrack.
And at Mission Seattle 2023, find us both there.
Definitely.
And you can find this show on Twitter at WeeklyTrek and me at Alexander T. Perry. And if you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. And please check out some of the other great shows on the Tricorder Transmissions. And if you like our shows, please also consider becoming a Patreon of Tricorder, which you can find at patreon.com/the Tricorder Transmissions. And lastly, if you're looking for Star Trek news on the internet, I hope you will turn to trekcore.com. Well, thank you, Jen. Thank you to all of my listeners. And until next week, live long and prosper.